What's going on? It's the voice of reason here, and allow me to get in my zone. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of the state of the Chiefs. I'm going to start with offense, and I'm going to share with why I'm so incredibly high on the Chiefs and just kind of break it down position by position. Just kind of show you why I am extremely excited about this season. I feel like it could be one of the best ever. I think records are going to be set this season. Number one, you have the best quarterback on planet Earth, and it's not even a conversation. Patrick Mahomes II is the best quarterback to ever touch a blade of grass, in my opinion. And so I can stop right there. But, also you have Gardner Minshew, all right? So I feel great about that. And when you take a look at the running back room last year, the Chiefs running back room was literally the least explosive running back group in the NFL. And that's incredibly important because when you look at some of the top offenses in the NFL, right? You take a look at the Ravens, you take a look at the Lions, and you take a look at the Bills from last year. You take a think about this, right? Automatically you kind of think about, oh, well, they have great quarterbacks for sure. But also one thing in common that they have is they have a running back that can hit pay dirt from anywhere on the field. You have Derrick Henry with the Ravens. You have Cook with the Bills. A lot of people may not even know Brown with the Bengals is like a 4.2, 4.3 guy, very fast, right? When you take a look at the Lions, you got two guys right there in the backfield, especially Gibbs, that can go ahead and hit pay dirt from anywhere on the field. And of course, the Eagles with Saquon Barkley. Like, I can keep going on. But again, when you look at those top offenses, they have that running back that can score from anywhere. And the Chiefs did not have that. In some of their best offenses in 2018, Kareem Hunt had that, right? But then you had Damian Williams that had that. But then if you look even at Jerick McKinnon and then even at Pacheco, when he was healthy, he's a 4.3 guy, right? He can go in and get those big chunk plays. And again, that was missing from the running back room completely. But if you take a look at Mitchell or Brashard Smith potentially making the roster. Now, those are two other 4.3 guys, and then Pacheco being back healthy and also having a receiving threat at running back, which is Mitchell and Brashard Smith especially is being a converted wide receiver. So that's one of the things that can complement, that can even cover up sometimes not having the most explosive wide receivers like we did in 2022. But we also had Jerick McKinnon. So he had 9 receiving touchdowns in 2022. That's akin to like a Tom Brady, who some of the years he had some amazing weapons, but in others he didn't have household names, but he always had that Kevin Falk or that James White or that Danny Woodhead or that Sony Michel, different guys like that he could throw the ball to receiving. So that's critical. And also Kareem Hunt was as good or better than any back in the league in short yardage, quiet as kept. Like, he was like 15 to 18 for conversion, so that's incredible. Then, when you take a look at the tight end room, you got the GOAT, Travis Kelce, that looks like he wants to be in shape again. Noah Gray, who's a solid tight end. And then, I think whether it's a Tunyon or a Brennan Stool, I think Wiley, you kind of slow play, but I think you got some good options there in the tight end room. And the wide receiver room, you have an opportunity to top to bottom. This could be as good as a wide receiver group as Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Now, of course, in 2018, Tyreek Hill had about 1,500 receiving yards that year, and then the next wide receiver was Sammy Watkins, and I think Sammy Watkins had like 500 something receiving yards. Like, there's a big drop-off, of almost 1,000 yards there from one wide receiver to the next. And then when you look at the other wide receivers, like a Conley, he had 300 something yards, and Demarcus Robinson. So I think with this Chiefs team, when you look at a Rice and a Worthy and a Hollywood Brown and Juju and a Jalen Royals and just that core right there, that could be a force multiplier with having those players on the field together, just in Rice, Worthy, and Hollywood Brown that you never had last year, which was a major hit to the team. It's going to be a force multiplier on offense, and I'm going to share with you in a moment what that can do. Now, the last thing I'm going to go with is the one where people seem to be worried about the most, and that's the offensive line. And I'm going to tell you, I'm as excited about, why can't I say this the way I want to? I'm excited about O-line, okay? Let me just say that. I'm extremely excited. And here's why. I believe it's akin to 2023, when the Eagles started out, they started out hot, and then for whatever reason, they fell off a cliff towards the end of the year. After they got knocked out of the playoffs, there were people who were extremely worried about what they'll look like next year. Why? Because you had a first-team All-Pro, future Hall of Famer in the interior line that was no longer going to be with the team that next year. You had a career backup that was going to become a starter, and then you had a bust at left tackle that was going to come in and be a starting guard. That doesn't sound like an exciting proposition. But who else does that sound like? Do the Chiefs have a first-team All-Pro interior lineman who's a future Hall of Famer that's no longer with the team this year? Yep, Joe Tooney. Do the Chiefs have a career backup who's now slated to be a starter? Yep, Jalen Moore. Do the Chiefs have I'm not going to call him a bust because he didn't get enough of an opportunity to even be called that. But did the Chiefs have a left tackle that didn't pan out that now is slated to be a starting guard? Yep. And then what else did the Eagles have? They had, one of the best right tackles in the NFL. They had one of the best left tackles in the NFL. They had one of the best guards in the NFL. So when you look at the Chiefs, they have the best center in the NFL in Creed Humphrey, and it's not even close. They have one of the best guards in the NFL in Trey Smith, who I believe has the potential to be the best. And Jawan Taylor, a lot of mistakes as far as the penalties and inconsistent play, but when Jawan Taylor is hot, he's one of the best right tackles in the NFL. He is very talented. It's just the consistency. But when you think about it, that group has an opportunity to be special. And I feel that because the Eagles, one of the reasons, not only did they just play better, and again, it's just about having consistent play everywhere. Not having necessarily the all-world players. It's consistently across the board with all O-line. But they had a force multiplier on offense. Saquon Barkley changed everything. He's the only major difference outside of the line. He changed everything. That's what I mentioned before as far as the force multiplier of having the wideouts together, seeing that group can change some things, having that explosiveness at the running back. Again, all those things, having the receiving threat again, all those things can come together, I believe, and be that force multiplier for the Chiefs that has this offense looking incredible. And guess what? I said all this and didn't even mention the most talented, athletic, best film of any left tackle in this draft, and it's not close. That's what multiple experts on the O-line have said. Comparisons to future Hall of Famers because of his athletic ability and skill and all that. That's Josh Simmons. Haven't even mentioned his name. If he's healthy and his skills translate to the NFL, it's over. Because now the Chiefs go from having by far and away the worst left tackle situation in the league. Pat had 4 different starting left tackles, and the stabilizer was putting your 32-year-old left guard at left tackle who hadn't started left tackle since he was in college. That was the best option you had, which completely compromised the rest of the O-line with changing your interior and everything else. And you saw that in the Super Bowl. But now you go from having the worst situation to if Jalen Moore, a solid backup who's proven to be a solid player, Jalen Moore, who clearly would have been starting for the Chiefs last year, like no question. If he's your backup now, then your floor is so much higher, and now there is no ceiling with the potential of a Josh Simmons. So either way, it works out. This is why I'm extremely high on the Chiefs. I'm extremely high on their offense. And, please comment below and share, your thoughts. Like I said, I'm extremely excited, and I feel like records will be broken. And did I mention we have Patrick Mahomes II?